Hey everybody, it's Lissa Coffey. Nice to see you. Sorry I'm a little late. Facebook evidently changed things around on the video creator studio, something I'm not used to. I had to get Marcia to help me. So thank you, Marcia. But here we are. So let's start with a little chant. Om Asatoma Sankamaya Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lord, lead me from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death unto immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Okay, so now we're all good and centered and we're in the mood. So tonight's topic is Rise Above. We're on Thursday night tune-up. We're going to get our little spiritual gear on, right? So here we go. So as you know, I'm a big fan of the Bhagavad Gita. And one of the chapters is about the gunas. And there's a line in there that, you know, we made this into a song, and it was like, the gunas, rise above the gunas. It's really cute. So I just wanted to find that and go over it with you. So it's pretty cool. Okay, so it's chapter 17 called Three Kinds of Faith, and it's here, but it's in any Bhagavad Gita. So it's all the same, whichever Bhagavad Gita you have. It's all the same. It's just the commentaries are different. Sometimes the translations might be a little bit different, but basically they're going to explain. So here's how it starts. So Arjuna, as we know, is on the battlefield with Krishna, and he's asking Krishna all these questions. So Arjuna is the student, Krishna is the teacher. So this time he says to Krishna, there are those who sacrifice to God with true faith and devotion. But what kind of faith would also discard the scripture's injunctions? So what he's really asking is, some people read the scriptures and they know what we're supposed to do, but they do something else anyway. Like in the Mahabharata, which is the big epic that the Bhagavad Gita is a part of, there's this character, Duryodhana, and he's like the villain, and he has this conversation with Krishna, and Krishna is trying to tell him, dude, can't you just do the right thing? It would be so simple if you just negotiate with your cousin. We could get on the same page. It's not that hard. There's definitely a solution here. We don't have to go to war. And Duryodhana says, I know the right thing to do. I know the difference between right and wrong, but I can't help doing the wrong thing. I can't help it. So that's just how he is. He knows his character. So Krishna's like, okay. But Krishna's answer to Arjuna is, with humans, there are three kinds of faith based on each personality. Sattva, Rajas, or Tamas will correspond individually. So now he goes on to explain what this means, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, these three kinds of faith. So he's going to start with Sattva. Those who are dominant in Sattva worship God in the many aspects. Rajasic ones worship power. The tamasic ones worship ghosts in respect. So what he's saying is that if you're dominant in Sattva is purity, goodness, wholesomeness, then someone who is dominant in that tendency to be good and pure is going to worship God in the many aspects. So it's like you see God in different people. You see God in the scriptures. You understand the difference between right and wrong. You know that you have to answer to God. You're on the spiritual path. You're striving towards enlightenment. Rajasic ones, this is the overactive, the overstimulated, the hyper ones, the ones who are very ambitious, the ones who are materialistic. They're the ones that work for the money. They're the ones who, get a new car every 3 years just because they can, or just because it's going to make them look good to the neighbors or whatever. They're the ones who are climbing that corporate ladder for more and more and more, and buying a bigger house and traveling everywhere. They can't sit still. He's saying they worship power. They worship power because they want to have power, so they want to get up to CEO of the company or whatever. And then, so they put that ahead of God, ahead of their spiritual path. And they say the Tamasic ones worship ghosts and respect. So the Tamasic ones, these are the ones who are more heavy, and they're hard to motivate. They're kind of, lazy or lackadaisical. They're kind of fine with how things are. They're not eager to change anything. So they don't necessarily grow spiritually either, because they're just kind of stuck where they are. So when he says Tamasic worship ghosts and respect, it's like they're looking at the past. They're thinking, oh, the good old days, that was the time. They're not thinking about now, what can I do? It's like, oh, I did that already. And it's like, that's good enough. Well, no, don't rest on your laurels. You're alive, you got more to do. So that's a really important thing. Okay, so Krishna continues. He says, the vain ones of demonic nature, impelled by the force of lust and greed, subject the body to torture and also hurt the one within, me. So the vain ones of demonic nature, he's saying that, okay, if you don't know the difference between right and wrong, then you're driven by desire, by lust and greed, then you're going to subject the body to torture. And when you subject the body to torture, what happens? You're hurting the soul too, because it's body, mind, and soul are all in this body. So, for example, you're a workaholic, right? Because you want the money, you want the raise, you want the promotion, but you stay up too late, and you're on the computer, and you're stressed out, and then you can't sleep well. And then you get up and you're tired, but you go to work anyway, or you catch a cold and you go to work anyway. So this is like torturing the body. Or you see some junk food and you're like, junk food, I'm starving, I'm just going to pig out. And so you overeat, right? And then you gain too much weight. Or you idolize these supermodels and you starve yourself. And that's subjecting the body to torture too. So Krishna is going to go on and explain more how that works with the three gunas, the sattva, raja, and tamas. So he says, food is also of the three kinds, as are sacrifices and gifts. Listen, I'll explain the difference, and then your thinking will shift. Food that is succulent and healthy, giving appetite and vitality, is favored by those endowed with sattva. This food gives them longevity. So we know what this means, right? Fresh foods, foods that are in season, foods that are grown locally, foods with no GMOs, no chemicals, no pesticides, more of that organic, natural, wholesome foods, right? Not necessarily fried in a bunch of oil or, cooked until it's like dead or whatever. And favoring more of a plant-based diet. Like Ayurveda shows up in the Gita a lot. And Ayurveda recommends a plant-based diet with the exception of some milk or dairy products, because in India, cows are sacred. And so cow's milk is very good for you. We have different cows in the United States than they have in India. In India, they have what's called A2 cows. They're the ones with the kind of long ears, and they give a different kind of milk than our Jersey cows do or Guernsey cows do. So for some reason, the A2 cows have a different chemical in it that makes it easier to digest. So it's better for humans. If you'll notice, if you go to any of the markets now, it used to be just I could find it at Sprouts, but you'll find A2 milk in the regular dairy section. So if you have any kind of sensitivity to dairy and think that, oh, I'm lactose intolerant, so I have to have almond milk or whatever, which is what I have almond milk. And it's fantastic, right? I don't have soy milk because I'm allergic to soy, and also because soy blocks the channels. The channels meaning the, the nadis that go between body and mind so that it all can communicate with each other. And it's just too big of a cell to get through. So it's all very scientific, but anyhow. So the other thing is Ayurveda says milk is okay if it's A2 milk, right? Or almond milk doesn't even count as milk because that's a plant-based thing. Or ghee. Ghee is amazing. It's clarified butter. It's you want to look for cultured clarified butter, cultured and organic clarified butter. And it's very medicinal. So that's what you want to look for when you look for ghee. But I have ghee every day. It's really good for your digestive tract. It's good for keeping you moisturized on the inside, lubricated on the inside, which is we need as we get older, right? Okay. Yogurt is also very good because it's got the probiotics in it. So dairy food's okay. But, meat in Ayurveda is not really a food. It's more of a medicine. So if you're sick and you need bone broth or something like that, then that's what they recommend as a medicine, but not on a regular basis. And mostly that's because the energy that's in the food, if the animal has been killed in some way, then there's fear in that, and then you're taking that energy in. So, but to each his own, and I know not everyone can be vegan or vegetarian, and wherever you are at, that's cool with me. I'm not judging. I'm just kind of telling you what Ayurveda says. Actually, I go to the temple, the Vedanta Society temple, and the Vedanta Society is based out of Bengal, Calcutta in India. And most Bengali people like fish a lot because they're right there, where all the fishing is. And so they'll eat fish, but pretty much not other meats. Okay, so we talked about sattvic foods, wholesome, great foods. So then we have food that's too bitter, sour, salty, burning, that brings you to your knees, is liked by those endowed with rajas, though it causes pain, grief, and disease. So you know how like attracts like. So someone who has that temperament of being hyper, being a workaholic, they're attracted to foods that have that energy. So anything that's too bitter, which is like what? Coffee, black coffee, that's like really bitter in the American diet. They'll say, I just want my coffee black. I just need the caffeine, right? Very rajasic. What else? Sour, like they'll like lots of vinegar. Vinegar is very sour. And this just puts them more out of balance. Too much salt. I know a guy who he would, eating at a Greek restaurant, we'd have a beautiful spread. Then he'd take the salt shaker, take the lid off the salt shaker and just pour salt all over the food. I'm like, oh no. But it came from years of habits of a little more, a little more, a little more, and it's so bad. So yeah, no surprise he has health issues now. Okay, so what else then? So there are consequences for eating that kind of food, and it's saying here in the Bhagavad Gita, it causes pain, grief, and disease. So you got to be careful what you eat. Food that is stale and tasteless, putrid, unclean, or rotten is liked by those endowed with tamas. Health for them is misbegotten. This is like if tamasic people will just eat like whatever, right? Week old leftovers in the refrigerator, it is like dead food at this point. I remember Vaidya always used to say, Vaidya Mishra was my mentor in Ayurveda. He says there's 3 kinds of food. There's intelligent food, there's dumb food, and then there's dead food. So sattvic food is intelligence. It knows where to go in your body. When you eat it, it just goes to all the right places, does all the right things it's supposed to do. Rajasic food is the dumb food. It gets in there, it doesn't know what to do, so it just makes trouble, goes wherever. And then tamasic food is dead food. There's no nutrients to go anywhere. It's just dead food. It just sits in your stomach, makes it heavy, and then leaves. It's not doing, you might as well not eat. It's just filling up that space, so it's not good. Okay, so then it goes through other, I can't believe it's like 20 after already, but we started late, so I'm going to go a little longer. Okay, and when it comes to sacrifice, the sattvic expect no reward. They offer according to scripture. This is a duty they look toward. Again, the sattvic people, they give without expectation. When you have a pure mind and body, you give generously, you give from your heart, and you don't expect anything in return. Those with the nature of rajas sacrifice with much expectation. They perform for the rewards and for the sake of ostentation. So these are the people that they go to work, they work, give me a paycheck. You know what I mean? Their heart's not in it. They're just working for the paycheck. Also, it's like people who are very wealthy, they want to give to charity, right? But then they're like, well, what's in it for me? I'm going to give you $1 million and get nothing in return. I want my name on that building. So, that's what they're saying, ostentation, to show off or whatever, right? And those with the nature of tamas offer no food and chant no hymns. They feel no need to give money. If there's any faith, it's very dim. So the tamasic people are like, what? Me give money? I'm taking care of myself. Charity begins at home. Why should I help anybody else? Because they don't understand that when you help others, you are helping yourself, because we're all connected. We're all one. If one of us suffers, all of us suffer. If one of us benefits, all of us benefit. That's the nature of spirit. But the tamasic people don't see it that way. They're like, I'm in this alone. I'm out for me, So basically, let me skip ahead to this part. Okay. So Om Tat Sat, 3 words designate Brahman, by which all of creation arose. The Vedas, sacrifices, and seers in ancient times, and so it goes. So now he's going to explain what Om Tat and Sat mean. Because if we go Om Shanti, 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 Om Tat Sat, right? Therefore, Om is always the first word said by a Brahmin devotee with any act of sacrifice or a gift or austerity. So, when we greet people, we say, Hari Om. It's like a nice way to say, I recognize your divinity. Hi, hail to God and the God within you, right? Om represents the universal, the all. And Tat, meaning the absolute, is said without expectations, with sacrifices, gifts, and more by those seeking liberation. Tat meaning the absolute. And the best way to be is to not have expectations. I learned a very important lesson when I was 16 in like one of my very first self-help groups. This quote that I remember to this day: unfulfilled expectations cause upset. So when you have no expectation, you won't get upset. Okay? It's that simple. Be open and willing. You know, you can strive for something, but you don't have to expect it to be a particular way, which is your particular way in your particular time for your particular timeline or whatever. Just be like, I'm going to do my best, and whatever happens, happens, because I trust God. I trust that everything's going to work out for my higher good, no matter what. Just reminded me of Betty Ann Brennan. The world is unfolding perfectly, no matter what. No matter what. She was so right. So rest in peace, sweet Betty Ann. We love you, and you taught us a great lesson. And sat. Sat means goodness and existence. And it also means steadfastness and faith. This word is used in connection with auspicious actions you take. So remember that, Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat. It's like a little 3-word prayer, meaning I'm doing my best work, God, for you, and I'm letting you take care of the details. Basically, that's the whole meaning. I have no expectations. I trust that you're going to take care of, and it's however it turns out, I'm fine. So he says, with any act of sacrifice, with any gift or austerity, direct your faith and will towards Brahman. Without faith, there's no prosperity. So coming back to rise above, how do we do this? Rise above the gunas. Rise above the gunas. Rise above the gunas. So if you're in tamas, you have to go to rajas. Rajas is like the next step before you can get to sattva. So in tamas, you're on the couch, a couch potato. Oh my God. So what's the first thing you got to do? You got to get up. So that's rajas. Put some rajas, some energy into it. Get up. You're doing. It's kind of like this pendulum went from doing nothing. Now you're doing too much, overcompensating. And the pendulum will swing back to the middle. And this is sattva, the middle path, like they talk about in Buddhism, the middle path. And then what do you do? Okay, you're in goodness and wholeness. You're living a good life. Now you want to rise above the gunas, because there's more to life even than sattva, even than that goodness and purity. There's divinity. There's surrender. So pretty cool, huh? In fact, I do a once a month class. So I think our next class is August 22nd. It's going to be from 4:30 to 5:30 on that Sunday. And Swami Satyamananda is going to be with me. We're going to be talking about surrender and how it is the highest spiritual point. He's an amazing speaker, and so I hope that you'll join us. So it's 7:30. I got to go chant. I've got a chanting group on Thursdays. I hope you guys are going to be doing some chanting tonight too. But let's close with our Shanti prayer. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Paramastu. Thanks so much, everybody. Much love, and I will see you soon.